Hey everyone, JagTagger93 here with a very solid WAD this time. It's Quirky Domain by FishyClockwork. Came out in July of this year, 2018, and this WAD stands out for being so incredibly unique and layered in its architecture and presentation. The author does masterful work utilizing portals, textures, and spacing tricks to deliver a map that feels very much mind-bendingly otherworldly. What I mean is, like, windows open into spaces that are impossibly big on the inside, dark caves seamlessly and mystifyingly end the player several feet away in the opposite direction. Dropping down canyon walls sometimes means landing considerably higher than where you originally started, and even water in this WAD gives physics and gravity the finger. Now there's a lot of little touches here that are truly magnificent. For starters, I love the misty gray skybox that was used. It's the first thing you really notice upon loading this WAD, and it definitely sets the mood. There's some areas that are truly unsettling, if not creepy, and they give a nice reprieve from the constant running and gunning. Enemies are placed very deviously, by the way, and there's not really a lot of ammunition to go around, so you have to really prioritize your targets, sometimes run by certain enemies that seem confined to certain platforms, and prioritize enemies that are, free moving and can chase you around. Also, arc files are still always a high priority to take out very quickly. With all that said, combat is really not the big obstacle here. The areas I found most troublesome were really the underwater section towards the end, and the floating platform area also towards the end, right before the yellow keycard. Now, just prior to that underwater section, not the one earlier in the map, but later, you'll know when you come to it, just before that section, I mowed down dozens and dozens of tougher enemies, including mancubi, revenants, arc files, pain elementals, and others. So when I got to this area, I was very low on health, and the thing is, I thought, okay, well, it's Doom. Doom doesn't have an underwater air mechanic, so I shouldn't have to worry about being submerged underwater for too long. It isn't like Duke Nukem 3D, for example, where you can run out of air if you're underwater for too long. Doom usually doesn't do that. Doom doesn't even have any underwater mechanics at all, but WADs where I played where you can go underwater, there's no breathing mechanic, so I thought I was fine. I was wrong. In this WAD, being underwater too long does mean your life starts to drain very quickly. And this underwater section takes considerable trial and error, especially if it's your first time through and you don't know what to expect. The tunnel you have to go through is pretty long. You don't come to a section where you can get some air until after you go through some submerged enemies that can take a little while to down. I think I ran into a Hell Knight, for example, down there while my air is ticking down, while my life is going down. So, yeah, that was a bit annoying. Equally infuriating was the floating platform area, right before the yellow keycard. Now, despite my best efforts to time the platforms because they move up and down, I just couldn't make it to the yellow keycard area. I eventually caved in and used jumping to make this area a little more manageable. However, upon getting that keycard, some flying enemies started to spawn in, including a pain elemental and some cacodemons. And here you really have very little room to move around, so yeah, you'll be falling a lot. Thankfully, falling in this section doesn't mean death. It just means you return right back where you came from. So if you see some projectiles coming right to you and you can't get out of the way, it's smart to just take a dive. Actually, you'll just come right back up. Now, there's an awful lot of detail packed into this map. One recurring symbol is that of eyes. These pink eyes that will watch you throughout the map. And you keep seeing them again and again. If you shoot them, you'll notice that they flinch. Now, I'm not sure if tagging all of them triggers something special or not, but it's a neat touch regardless. While playing, I tried to shoot as many as I could, but I might have missed a few because dang is this map intricate and long and detailed. So overall, the Quirky Domain is very challenging, but a very rewarding experience too. While playing, I kept muttering things like, "Oh, that's so cheap. Why would they put enemies there? Oh my god, underwater section, you're kidding me." Whining and whining again like that. But after each and every single instance where I had that happen, it was immediately followed with something cool happening, like coming upon a very odd but interesting looking pyramid structure, having to deal with these ghost-like entities that seem to be stalking, and other weird little touches here and there. So, yeah, there's a nice balance here between frustration and then seeing something truly unique and truly creative. So after completing it Hurt Me Plenty, I definitely recommend trying it on Nightmare. Or if you don't want to do that, just no clip around. because there's tons of interesting little bits in the extremities of this map to explore and really appreciate. Credit to the author. Now, the Quirky Domain, for all the reasons I mentioned, earns a solid 9 out of 10 for me. And I'll throw in 2 out of 5 ghosts for the minor creep factor that's present here. I love maps like this, where there's no backstory listed in the README file, but the map oozes lore. The author definitely had a story in mind, or at least a theme in mind, when they made this map. And finding these little bits of lore here and there throughout the map feels kind of like you're solving a puzzle, and gaining a little insight into what the overall, lore, I guess, as it were, of this map really is. And it's that creative flair, that creative edge, that really makes this one a must-play, in my opinion. And that is it. Thank you all for watching. This is JagTagger93 signing out. You have a good one.